Good morning, Facebook.
Can we see my screen? Hopefully.
Yes.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. Since it's 9 o'clock, it must be 1 million cups time. So welcome everybody. Welcome new folks. Say welcome to some of the folks we haven't seen in a while. Glad you're here this morning. I'm really excited about today's presenter, somebody that has been a long-time entrepreneur, programmer, and I spent a good deal of time talking to her a few weeks ago. And so I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this presentation today. But before I introduce Sandra, I'm going to introduce 1 Million Cups and what we do here for those of you who may not have experienced a 1 Million Cups meeting before. So 1 Million Cups is a free national program. It's designed to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs. So what it is essentially is we're the entrepreneurial support and ecosystem building arm of the Kauffman Foundation. Kauffman Foundation is a $4 billion endowment for the promotion of economic development through entrepreneurship. There's over 160 1 Million Cups communities nationwide, meeting every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, just like we are today. And we are a strong, neutral space that's industry agnostic. This is not a pitch environment, and by that we mean that our presenters aren't selling to the room, although they might be practicing a pitch. But we'll get to that if that's ever the case. We'll talk about that ahead of time. But the idea is that we as a community ask the question of our presenter: what can we do to help you? And our presenters come to us with specific questions as to how specific asks of our community. The format here is we have 1 to 2 presenters give a 6-minute presentation, followed by about 20 minutes of question and answer from the audience. We do go a little bit longer in the virtual format as far as the Q&A, just to make sure everybody has an opportunity to answer the questions. But we do stick to the 6-minute presentation format that 1 Million Cups prescribes. We would love for people to get involved, especially people who are here for the first time. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can become an organizer and help build our startup community, and you can connect with our organizing team and ask how you can do that. So I know just looking at the group here, we've got David is on, George is on, I saw Terry. Who else is part of the organizing team that's on today? Hey, I see Tony today, and there might be a few other people hiding in the background. But if you'd like to learn how to get involved, just ask one of us and we can point you in the right direction. You can apply to present. If you have a company that would benefit from presenting at 1 Million Cups, you can go to our website, which is 1millioncups.com/RTP. And there's a button there that says apply to present. It's a very easy process. You just put a little bit about what your company does, your name and contact information, the name of your company and your website, and you're on your way. You can refer a presenter. So if you aren't an entrepreneur, but you do know an entrepreneur with a startup company, or you are an entrepreneur and you know another entrepreneur, introduce them to 1 Million Cups. Bring them along and let them see what it's about, and perhaps encourage them to present here as well. Let them know that we're here to help. And then, of course, last but not least, is you can be involved by attending and providing excellent feedback for our presenters. I want to thank our community organizers. We have Krista Johnson Sotomayor, William Clote, Tracy Ames, who, if you are a presenter or presented in the past year, you have spoken with her because she's our presentation intake coordinator. Rosalinda Cruz. David Bates, George Stewart, and Terry Conlon are our coachers and mentors for our presenters. Dan Hepworth is doing the back end video after the presentations are done. And then I am our MC. I'd like to thank our community sponsors. We have Muddy Dog Roasting Company, who provides the coffee during our live meetings, Imperative Product Operations, Global Training Initiative, GTI, NC Idea, American Underground, who provides our live in-person meeting space that I miss so much, Wise Insights, which is Mr. Bates' company, Uplift Now, Soto IP, and New York Life. So I'd like to introduce today's presenter. We've got Sandra Johnson, Global Mobile Finance, Inc., and she is introducing her company and the product, which is geeRemit. So Sandra, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
All righty. Thank you for being here.
Okay, I'm sharing right quick.
Of course.
Give me 1 second. Okay. So good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Sandra K. Johnson, and I'm a hidden figure. I have graduate degrees in electrical engineering from Stanford University and Rice University, and I also have over 30 years of experience in technology. I am a master inventor with over 40 pending and issued patents, and I want to talk to you today, share with you my latest endeavor, geeRemit. It is a customer-focused remittance mobile app for Africa. And so in the spring of 2007, I visited a slave castle in Ghana, West Africa. And it was during this first trip to Africa that I had my eureka moment, the moment when I knew that my purpose was to use my technology skills to help the people of the continent. I subsequently focused on creating this fintech mobile company to develop geeRemit, and it's a remittance service industry of over $550 billion. That's in terms of funds moved. And so Global Mobile Finance, Inc. Has developed geeRemit to provide remittance services, sending funds initially to recipients in Sub-Saharan Africa, which is a $46 billion market. We will target initially focus on the top 5 corridors from the US to these countries here, and that's an $8 billion market opportunity. Now, there are several issues associated with sending funds to Sub-Saharan Africa. The costs are the highest in the world. Many remittance service providers just focus on sending money from sender to receiver. They do not work to develop relationships with the customer. Many recipients are in remote locations, and so it's difficult or inconvenient for them to reach a pickup location. And for those who do, it's very dangerous and unsafe for them to carry large amounts of money. Also, the vast majority of recipients in emerging countries are unbanked. They do not have credit cards or bank accounts. As I mentioned earlier, most remittance service providers do not focus on building deep customer relationships. However, studies have shown that those who do increase their sales and market share. geeRemit does focus on building relationships with the customer, and I'll talk more about that later. So for the geeRemit mobile app, the customer, in our case, the customer is the sender, downloads the app, registers, including providing the recipient information. Then it proceeds to initiate a transfer to the sender. To the recipient. The sender then gets an immediate acknowledgement of the funds sent. The recipient subsequently will receive funds into their mobile money account. So what is mobile money? This app is very simple, but mobile money makes it powerful. Mobile money is a financial account that's associated with a mobile telephone number. Mobile money is very popular. It's very pervasive in emerging countries with greater than 60% penetration in Sub-Saharan Africa and a compound growth rate of 40% over 5 years. So the key focus, the key differentiator for GMF is the leverage of this innovative technology, lightweight remittance analytics, or LRA. LRA enables GRemit to use customer-specific relationship and historical information to gain insights that enables additional remittances between the sender and the receiver. So with LPA insights, and this is a patent pending technology. So with these insights, GRemit can engage with the customer, can suggest additional remittances to result in second, third, or multiple or recurring remittances. For example, on birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, special occasions, GRemit can suggest or automate sending additional funds to the recipient. In addition to that, GRemit can automatically determine a suggestion to the customer that a separate financial account is created so that subsequent remittances to the recipient, the part of the transfer fee for those remittances are deposited in this financial account on behalf of the receiver, so that over time, the customer can save for the recipient's education, for starting a business, or some other life-changing activity. So this enables a social benefit that could improve the overall quality of life for billions, not only in sub-Saharan Africa, but around the world. And so that was my overview of GRemit and global mobile finance. So the ask is, I am in the middle of a crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding campaign. It's a local public offering through the state of North Carolina. You see the specifics here. You have to be a North Carolina resident. You're purchasing shares, non-voting equity shares, 75 cents a share with a minimum investment is shown here. For more information, you can go to this website, globalmobilefinance.com/LPO. And those funds will be used to take the pilot, which we have, the minimum viable product, or MVP, and launch a pilot for this in the state of Georgia. We have a license for Georgia. So it's to conduct this pilot to get up to 200, at least 200 early adopters to participate in this pilot, transferring funds from Georgia to the initial country we want to focus on is Kenya. So the testing and support associated with that, licensing fees, marketing, et cetera. So in addition to this pilot, it will enable us to be operational for 2 to 3 months. So that is the ask, is only for North Carolina residents. So if you or someone you know may be interested, by all means, reach out to me. And of course, here are some disclaimers.
I'm Sandra, excuse me, Sandra. So this is looking to me very much like a pitch.
I'm done.
Okay, all right. So, you know, asking for investment is not something that we do at 1 Million Cups. So the question I think that we'd like you to come around to is, what can we as a community help you with your business, apart from making a direct investment?
I shared with you the pitch. So any input, any questions, any feedback about this would be helpful as we work to improve or enhance the application.
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate it. I am very interested to see how the pilot works as you get that into Georgia. So we're going to get into the question and answer period now. And the way this works is Georgia's going to be operating the Q&A queue. So if you have a question for Sandra, please send a direct message to George. He will put you in line for your question. When it's your turn or you're up next, he'll let you know. Please unmute yourself. If you have the capability, turn on your microphone. Turn on your camera, and then when it's your turn, ask the question. And if you have a brief follow-up question, that's okay, but try and be respectful of everybody in the room. We have a lot of people here, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions about the company and the technology. So George, do we have questions already?
We sure do. So Dan is first, and then Dwight.
Hi, Sandra. Great presentation. I have two questions. The first is, can you go into a bit more detail into the problems with the existing solutions? So like Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, because those seem to kind of do the job. And the second point is, how is the 7% fee competitive? My understanding is that Venmo is free except for when you're using debit cards, which is a 1% fee. PayPal is like a 2.9% fee. Are the fees higher in those regions that you're trying to target, or can you explain the rationale behind the 7%?
So first of all, Zelle, Venmo, etc. Those are cash apps. They do not have a presence in Sub-Saharan Africa. Most of them not internationally, so they're not remittance apps. So that's one thing. Also, those apps focus on those who have bank accounts or credit cards. So I'm focusing on countries, emerging countries, where the vast majority of the citizens do not have bank accounts or credit cards. They have mobile money, which is a financial account that's associated with mobile telephone service, because they do not have bank accounts. So the funds are then deposited into the mobile money accounts of the recipients in these emerging countries. Regarding the fees to Sub-Saharan Africa are the highest in the world. They're actually on average 9.2%. And so what geeRemit will do is we will reduce the fees. However, the value proposition that we bring is the focus on building the relationship with the customer. We don't just focus on sending money from sender to receiver. We build a relationship with these smart suggestions, et cetera. We've done some marketing studies on this to show that the customers are willing to pay a little bit more, up to 2% more in fees for this service.
Awesome, thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
One quick follow-up I had. It sounds like the main competitive advantage is unbanked users can use this. What's the trend with like people in Sub-Saharan Africa? Are there more online banking apps trying to penetrate? And like, let's say these people get bank accounts. Does that make your app obsolete, or are you trying to actually form an online bank?
So most of them will not get bank accounts because they have a mobile money account, which is very similar to a bank account. You can deposit funds. Instead of going to the bank, you go to the Verizons of the world to deposit money, to withdraw money. So from a practical perspective, just about anything you can do with a bank account, they do there with a mobile money account. Okay, so it's in some sense a replacement, if you will, of bank accounts. In many emerging countries around the world, the citizens essentially do not trust banks, but they do trust their mobile service providers.
Thanks for the questions, Dan, and good response, Sandra. Dwight has a question.
Hey, Sandra, a quick question too. It's similar to what Dan's asking, but about Mpesa. Isn't that pretty well embedded in Sub-Saharan Africa?
Mpesa is embedded primarily in Kenya. It is expanding to other parts of the world, yes. So when I say mobile money accounts, Mpesa is one of the accounts that we would deposit the funds in. So we're not a competitor to Mpesa. We're more like a partner.
Okay, and one follow-up question around you said there's 7 patent or provisional patent applications. Speaking from the patent side, I see Chris is not here today. It's a very challenging ask to try to get software patents these days, and 7 applications can be an awfully expensive endeavor to prosecute, certainly in Africa too. So I guess, can you speak a little bit to the value proposition, is why so many?
We are building an intellectual property portfolio that in and of itself will provide value to us, so that if others attempt to leverage this technology to build relationships, they'll have to have a discussion with us in terms of licensing. That's one thing. The second thing is, yes, I have 7 provisional patent applications. I am part of a program, though, where the cost of these applications are free to us in terms of the attorney fees, the IP attorney fees. So it significantly reduces the cost for us, right? Oh. And we are seeking the patents in the United States because that's where our customers are. That's where the app will be used.
Great. That's all. Oh, Chris is okay. Chris is joining in. Okay, I'll leave you for Val. But that, yeah, thank you for the answer, Sandra. That's great.
You're welcome.
Hey, to all of you who are new, first of all, welcome to 1 Million Cups. And we would love to have you make suggestions, ask questions. So please send, just send a quick private message in the chat to me, George Stewart, if you have something to suggest to Sandra, and we'll get you queued up. Meantime, we've got 2 questions that came in from Facebook. So Dominic, can you read those questions for us?
Yes. So the first one is from Airday on Facebook. And this is, well, there's a couple of things that you addressed here, Sandra, already. So I'll let you kind of pick and choose which parts of this you want to go back to. The question is, this is a very competitive space with big players like MoneyGram, Western Union, Sendwave, World Remit, etc. And this particular this questioner says he uses some or all of these to send money to his family all the time. How are you going to differentiate yourself? I think you did address that. What are your fees and what are your limits? That's something that I didn't hear about, given that this that the Airday sends almost $1,000 a month.
Okay, yeah, so I'll just reiterate the differentiator for us is our focus on working to build relationships with the customer. And I liken this to the difference between a Toyota and a Lexus. Both of them are cars, but one has more attractive features than the other that some are willing to pay for. And so we are segmenting the market to focus on those who are willing to pay for the service of providing the additional accounts and building the relationships. And so now what was the second part of the latter part of the question?
About the limits.
The limits, okay. So we are initially focusing on 5%, and over time, we want to bring that down. The actual limits, I'm assuming you're talking about limits in terms of the maximum funds transferred.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Yes. So our limit initially for the maximum funds transferred will be $1,000 in a month, right? And over time, we're going to increase that to $1,999.
So is that $1,000 per sender to each recipient, or 1,000 total to each recipient, or 1,000 total from each sender?
1,000 total from each sender. And this is essentially based on the regulations in this market.
Okay. The second question from Facebook is, if mobile money is already 60% of the sub-Saharan Africa market, what does the competition look like for you in this space?
Mobile money is not a competition. Mobile money would be a partnership. And what I mean by that is the sender who lives in the West, let's say the United States, will transfer funds initially from the sender's bank account. And then the funds there's the currency exchange, and then the funds are deposited into the recipient's mobile money account, right? So it's not a competitor, it's a partner.
Okay.
All right, Krissa is on the phone and she has a question for you. Krista, we can't hear you.
She's muted.
Krista,
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Sandra, very interesting. Just wanted to find out what program you're participating in that helps cover your patent portfolio.
Okay, so Google has partnered with Cardozo Law School in Manhattan. It's called the Google Cardozo Patent Diversity Project. So women and underrepresented minorities, because they are underrepresented as inventors, you know, are working with law firms across the country for this program to provide this free IP service. So if you're interested in learning more about it, then you can just do a Google search on Google's Cardozo Patent Diversity Project.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. For a change of pace, Brett has a question concerning your pilot.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Johnson. Wonderful presentation. I just had a question about the choice of Georgia and what made you choose Georgia. What's the data points or metrics that have you choosing Georgia? And just from a purely kind of local standpoint, why Georgia over, say, like North Carolina?
Very good question. So Georgia, because in order to be in this business, you need a license in every state, all 50 states. And the vast majority of states have stringent fiscal requirements to obtain the license. And for a tech startup, most tech startups cannot meet those requirements. Georgia does not have those requirements. It's of the 50 states, it is much easier for a fintech startup to get a license in Georgia than any other state. However, there are other states that are comparable. So I do plan to obtain a license in North Carolina, as well as 2 other states. You know, that's in the first phase of the next few states that will work to obtain the license. But essentially because Georgia is designed to help startups in this type of industry, and that's why.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we have another question from Facebook.
Yeah, this is from Jacob. Jacob would like to know, can you speak more to your market research on the countries and what were the respondents in your market research already mobile money users?
So yes, I can speak to that. But before I do, I do want to say that I worked for IBM for 26 years. My last IBM role was as the Chief Technology Officer for IBM Central, East, and West Africa. I was based in Nairobi, Kenya. So I know about Mpesa. I used Mpesa. I used mobile money. I spent 3 years in Dubai and Africa, traveling around the continent to 22 countries, many of them several times. And as a result, I have several contacts in these countries, many of them with relatives in the United States of America, because the survey that I did was for our customers, which will be those living in the West, the senders. So I reached out to them based upon my network, and that's how I reached the people to survey. They're primarily expats, diplomats, students, some who've immigrated to this country and send money home regularly. And yes, most of them do use mobile money, use remittance service providers regularly.
Hey, thanks, Sandra. We've got a couple more questions queued up, but perhaps it would be useful for you to take a minute and remind us of what we can do to help you here. So we're peppering you with questions. Is there advice or help that we can provide to you as a community?
Yes. As I mentioned, you know a little bit about the the app. I do plan to do the launch with senders or customers in Georgia. So if you know of those in Georgia, residents of Georgia who send money to Kenya regularly, then send them my way, because I do need to reach out to individuals who send money to Kenya to be part of the pilot. So that would be the foremost ask that I have, in addition to talking to me about the LPO here in North Carolina.
All right. So Dan's got a question about your user acquisition strategy, which I think dovetails with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned with the pilot, your goal is to get 200 users in Georgia who are sending money specifically to Kenya. How do you plan on getting these people? What's the cost of acquiring a customer? And are you seeking people who already use like existing software, like I think Mpesa, or bringing new people into this market?
Okay, so Mpesa is not available here in this market. So it would be people who would be familiar with a Cash App, but not necessarily. Initially, I will seek ambassadors in the community. There is, for example, a large Kenyan community in the Atlanta area, right? And I have connected with some of the folks who are influencers in that community. So we'll work with them and have sessions. Obviously, they will be virtual sessions, but virtual sessions seeking individuals in that community who would be willing to participate in the pilot. And the incentive is we will reduce the cost for sending the funds for a 2-month pilot for them. And so that's one of the ways in which I plan to get the early adopters. Also working with a marketing team, you know, with social media ads, et cetera, as part of that effort. You asked about the cost. So for the pilot, the cost we anticipate to be minimal when it comes to this, around $3,000. And I am working with a marketing consultant on this.
Great, thank you. So we've got, again, more questions lined up, but please, if you are new here, we'd love to hear from you. A contribution, a question for Sandra. So please send me a text message. We'll get you in the queue. I should be at the top of the chat list. So next up is Dominic. He's got a question.
Yeah. So Sandra, my question, perhaps I don't understand remittance technology, but does the receiver of the funds also have to download and utilize the GRemit app, or do the funds go directly into their mobile money account and it doesn't matter how they access them from there? How does that work?
It's the latter. The receiver does not need to download GRemit, just the sender. The receiver will just get a text message saying, you know, you have just received funds from, and then the sender's name, deposited into your mobile money account.
Okay, that's easy enough.
Yes.
So Sandra, it might be worthwhile for you to describe very briefly how mobile money works.
Okay, so mobile money, imagine, if you will, you have a financial account, like a bank account, but it's really not. And the account number is a mobile telephone number, okay? So if you lived in a country that provided a mobile money service, let's say you go to the grocery store or to a coffee shop, any business establishment, instead of using cash or a check or a credit card, you just pull up your mobile money app on your phone, you enter the recipient's, in this case, the business establishment's mobile telephone number, and then funds are transferred from your account to the business's account, right? And so in many emerging countries around the world, because this is where mobile money is popular, cash-based societies, few people have cash because they essentially use mobile money. They type in the name of the recipient and funds are transferred. Likewise, they will get a text message when funds come to their mobile money account. You can also deposit it by going to, let's say, a Verizon of the world, the equivalent. And Kenya, that would be Safaricom for Mpesa. So you go to a Safaricom business, you give them cash, they deposit the funds into your mobile money account. You can withdraw money out of your mobile money account as well. You can go there and get cash, right? Again, this is because in most of these countries, the citizens do not have bank accounts. But as you can see, this is very similar to a bank account.
So we've got a couple of questions concerning blockchain and Bitcoin. So first of all, Pamela and then Brett.
Good morning, Sandra. Great presentation. Can you describe a little bit of how your technology relates or doesn't relate to blockchain technologies?
Okay. At this point, we are not using blockchain technology. At some point, initially we had some focus on blockchain, but after we started peeling the onion back and learned about, all of the risks associated just with a fintech company, we decided to delay a blockchain implementation to a later date. Instead, what we do is partner with a business-to-business company called Tunes. Tunes already has a global payments network. So we partner with them. So once the sender initiates a transfer, we will take the funds out of their account and put it into the GRemit bank account. And then Tunes will take the money out of our GRemit account and then deposit it into the mobile money account. And all of this is done in a matter of seconds.
Hey, thanks, Sandra. And Brett's got a follow-up concerning Bitcoin.
Well, I'm not a big Bitcoin understander, so, but I know it's related to blockchain. How are the two, are those exactly the same for what you're trying to do or not trying to do?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not using blockchain or Bitcoin or cryptocurrency at the moment, right? So that's to answer the second part of your question. The difference between Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency and blockchain, and this is at a very high level.
Let me just, it's not so much I want to understand Bitcoin and blockchain. I want to understand how is that going to compete or with your product, and whether that or is that a competing technology that will pose as a challenge to your product?
Blockchain could be considered an underlying technology that could be a competitor. And when I say could be, if a remittance competitor uses blockchain technology, then it would be a competitor from that perspective. Okay, blockchain technology, has added a security because of the cryptographic algorithms, et cetera, and there's some other issues, and so that's why we're going to look at this at a later date. To my knowledge, there are no competitors at this point that successfully leverages blockchain in high volumes in the remittance space.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So Eric has a question.
Sandra, how you doing? Great presentation.
Thank you, I'm good, thanks.
My question is, who else is on your team, and what do you see as your strengths and weaknesses? And then of course, a follow-up to that is, how can we help, as a community to support what you do in terms of maybe your strengths and your weaknesses and team members? But I did want to get that team, wanted to know who else is on your team.
If I can share my screen again, I can show you, I have a slide that has the members of my team. So let me put that up. So here are the members of my team. I have a board member here, Bernard Bell, who is actually an entrepreneur and professor. He's over the entrepreneur program at UNC Chapel Hill. The compliance consultant you see here, who I work with on compliance related issues, and then advisors and mentors who were with me for some time, serving as an unofficial member of my board. You see the three here, and all of the mentors are right here in the Raleigh area. In addition, in terms of team members, I do plan to work with a compliance consultant, contract out the development team, which is a company in the area. So in terms of what you can do to help, et cetera, I did mention that I have a marketing consultant that I'm working with. I do have need though for additional input on marketing, additional input when it comes to compliance, right? Brandy is very good, but as I roll this out, you know, starting in Georgia, I mentioned North Carolina and other states, the plan is to quickly roll this out to other states, and I will need a larger team to help in that process.
That answer your question, Eric?
Yes, I just wanted to know how we, I know this is a pretty large community, so I wanted to know what she thought maybe her strengths and weaknesses are. Okay,
my strengths and weaknesses, yes. So my strengths, the technology, obviously the technology. I do need assistance with marketing primarily, as I mentioned, and of course, understanding the regulation landscape as it relates to compliance. So that's why I mentioned compliance and marketing.
All right, thank you. So Carol has a question. She's been waiting patiently.
Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, Sandra, this is Carol Spears. I think you remember me.
Yes.
I'm sorry I joined in late. I was trying to get in. Sandra, I have a question for you because mobile money, it's already there. What I noticed on your people who are doing consulting, you don't have anybody from, in African countries and all that stuff. And for the compliances with some of the money transfer, are you licensed to all of those countries in Africa? Because you cannot just transfer money. You have to comply with the banks and all that stuff. And you have to have a license over there. Because I notice all people who are on your board, you have nobody in Africa. You're planning to do this diaspora people. And who are your competitors? Because we already have some of the people who are already doing it here in the US. Have you shared that with people and all that stuff?
So regarding the compliance in the various countries in Africa, we are actually working with a business-to-business partner, Tunes, that already has the relationships with the relevant compliance entities, not only in Africa, but around the world. So they already have the partnerships, they already have the licenses, et cetera. All of that is in place. We are leveraging their global network. Regarding the African team, I did mention earlier that I do have contacts with people on the continent throughout the continent. Some of them now are here in the United States. Some of them have relatives and contacts that they've connected me with here in the United States. And so as I work on the pilot, for example, in Georgia, I will work with Kenyans to leverage the Kenyan community. But as we expand to other states across the United States, I do plan to leverage the African communities. In fact, the states that I will initially target are those that have the largest sub-Saharan African communities in the United States, leveraging the influential leaders in those communities. Okay.
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 I have a question.
Did I answer most of those questions?
No, ma'am.
Carol, we're getting close to being done with Q&A time, but we can definitely, Sandra, would you be able to stay after?
Yeah, Sandra's gonna stick around after 10 o'clock, Carol. So if you can stick around till after 10 o'clock, we stop the official meeting and we just have a wide open, ask whatever you want, unmoderated session. So if you can hang on for 15 more minutes, we'll let you have at it. Because we've got a couple more questions that we really should get to. One is from Josh and the technology and back end behind this.
Thanks, George. Hi, Sandra. So I have some questions and was hoping maybe you can discuss a little bit about the actual technology itself. I mean, you have these patents or they're pending. I've seen your team obviously, but I don't really understand the status of where the app is. I mean, have you started development yet? Is there the back end and all the infrastructure set up and you just kind of need this money to start marketing, or do you first have to start developing the app and a lot of compliance and marketing questions, but can't do much about it without the tech. So I'm just curious if you can give us an update on where the actual app is.
Yes, the app has been developed. It is developed. It's ready to go. The minimum viable product. So we did work with a development team in Durham to develop the app. And once we launch, we'll do some test runs first, but the app is up and running, is ready to go. In terms of the LPA technology, the initial version will simply look at birthdays, holidays, special occasions, and a subsequent version of the app will introduce suggesting the financial accounts, etc. But the actual geeRemit mobile app, the minimum viable product, has been developed and it's ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so thank you very much for your questions. We have one more question from our lead organizer, Dominic, who is going to ask his question, and then he's going to take us to the wrap-up.
Yeah, I just, this is Sandra, just looking forward for the company. I know you're working, you've got your initial market identified. What is the size, what is the potential capturable market that you can get there? And then what is your growth strategy beyond, not for the US, for the users, but growth strategy for entering into new remittance markets?
Okay, hold on, I want to share this one slide. So what you can see here is the Sub-Saharan Africa market for the whole continent, or subcontinent, I should say. It's a $46+ billion market. That's in terms of funds moved. We are going to target these initial 5 countries, starting with Kenya first. And in total, that's for those 5 countries, it's a $5 billion market. In terms of global market, we do plan to expand to emerging countries around the world. Mexico, for example, the Philippines, Vietnam, India, etc. And that is a $50 billion market, right? So we plan initially in Kenya and then other countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, and then to other emerging countries around the world.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. So we're now wrapping up our question and answer segment of the meeting, and now it's time for community announcements. if you have something that you would like to announce, an event, success, something that you would like to share with the community, same as question and answer, please send George a message. Let him know that you have an announcement, and he will get you in line so that you can share that with the community. Okay. I am going to take the privilege of announcing that we are always looking for excellent presenters like Sandra, with companies that want to come to our community and benefit from the experience of having the feedback, of being able to come to the community with asks, and want to become part of the entrepreneurial community in the Triangle. So if you are listening on Facebook or you're coming here for the first time and you either have a company that you think would benefit from presenting here at 1 Million Cups, or you know somebody who does, please share our community with them so that we can have the pleasure of meeting them and perhaps having them present. I know that I don't know. Do we have, George, anybody in queue for announcements?
Well, I'm going to put somebody on the spot and ask Eric. Oh, Eric has already said yes. So Eric does have an announcement for us.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity. Each year, the Black Business Expo gives scholarships to kids. We raise 10 scholarships for kids every year, and we give 10 laptop computers. I would like to announce that this year's Expo is going to be a virtual event. It's going to be 7 days a week. It's going to be November the 9th through the 15th. We're going to have over 100 speakers to speak during that week. It'll start at 8 in the morning and it'll end 8 in the evening on those 7 days in November. And for those of you who'd like to know more about if you'd like to present or talk to the community or get on our platform, you can email me at info@blackbusinessexpousa.com, or you can give us a call at 919-308-9090. I'll put that information in the chat box for everyone. But it'll be November the 9th through the 15th, and it'll be a virtual event as opposed to a physical event that we normally do at the Marriott downtown Durham. Thank you so very much, guys. And I did enjoy this morning. And I do have my cup. I was drinking my coffee this morning.
Thanks, Eric. George, do we have anybody else? Or
no, that's it. Thank you.
I'm going to put Chris Rogers on the spot. Chris, I think I know an event you've got coming up.
Well, I appreciate this. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's nice and coffeeed up by now. So I'm with Sullivan's Steakhouse in downtown Raleigh, the iconic steakhouse of downtown Raleigh. We actually have another live networking event called the 3 Martini Lunch, hosted by Rockstar Networking Events. It's going to be held here on August the 27th. The last event brought 70 people out, lots and lots of great connections. I don't see this event being any smaller than the last. We do make sure that everything is safe, socially distant, everything is sanitized in the restaurant. This event is only for attendees who purchase tickets. The restaurant will not be open to the public during the time. And we've taken every precaution necessary to make sure that everyone has a great time and is safe when they leave. So August 27th, and I'll post a link up to get to the info in the room.
Thank you, Chris. All right, if we don't have any other announcements, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. It was an excellent presentation. Thank you, Sandra, for coming here and sharing what you're doing with your company. We appreciate it. And for everybody that's here, hope to see you again next week, 9 to 10, every Wednesday morning. It's 1 Million Cups. Be looking for your invitation or be looking for the email so you can sign in through Eventbrite. Go ahead, George, sign off on Facebook. And